Now, as you know, we have the big event coming up at Brass Rail on Thursday from 5 to 8. Jack Harry will be there, Chris DeGaulle, myself. Clint Switzer is going to be there, and Noah Groniger from Starcade Media. It's a great sports website with local sports on there. If you want to check out some of the things they do. I like these guys because they've been doing it on the side, and they've been doing it for a long time. They are teachers by trade. I think they're conservative. We haven't really talked a lot of politics, but I think they're cool with all that because they're cool with having me write on their website, which I'm doing, and they're going to be there, and they're trying real hard to just do more and more content, and I thought I'd have Clint on to speak just a little bit about what it is they do at Starcade Media. We'll talk some Chiefs football here because he's way into the Chiefs, and as a Mizzou fan, he is not all that excited about the game on Saturday, but we have some fun talking about the border war. I'm going to call it the border war. I don't care if they say I can call it that or not. I'm still going to call it the border war. We now say hello to Clint Switzer. He's with the Elite Sports Podcast and a company called Starcade Media. You can find them online at starcademedia.com. We've been talking about Clint and his partner Noah and the great work they do covering sports and the Chiefs and everything Midwest at starcademedia.com. And they'll be joining us on Thursday at the Brass Rail in the Northland, 152 Highway in North Brighton Road. I'll be there around 5 o'clock. Should be a lot of fun. I've got to know these guys over the last few weeks. I'm starting to write for them a little bit. And I thought maybe you should know who they are and what they're about. So Clint joins us now. Hi, Clint. How you doing?
Oh, Kevin, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure getting to know you a little bit. We really enjoyed the column you did for us last week. And Chiefs get that win over the Broncos, and things are looking up here for our Kansas City Chiefs, my friend.
So for people that aren't familiar with exactly what you do, you've gone through a couple of name changes, but you and Noah have been at this for a while. Starcade Media, how would you describe exactly what you do and how long you've been doing it?
Well, Kevin, I would describe it as throwing a bunch of stuff up against the wall. And we've been doing this for 10 years. Kind of started out as doing just a Chiefs podcast. This is back when the word podcast was a bit of a dirty word. People said, what's that? What's a podcast? Is this a radio show? I'm not interested. We were able to kind of build from, kind of develop our own sports network, so to speak, with interviews, articles. We just want to keep original content coming. That's what we've been able to do, and that's why we created Starcade Media, because sometimes we even dip our toes into things like music, entertainment, sports as well, of course. So it's all there. It's all at starcademedia.com. Everything we do is kind of archived there, going back 10 years now, which is kind of crazy to think.
You're built on the Chiefs, but you cover Big 12 sports. I know that you like music and you love to get into some of those things, but you guys don't do this full-time. You have full-time. You and Noah have full-time jobs, and you do it on the side, and I've told everybody that will listen to me, you obviously work 5 times harder than I do. How much of a grind has this been trying to not just get it launched years ago, but to sustain it all these years?
It has been definitely a grind, and it's something you have to stay committed to. You have to really keep your nose to the grindstone to keep things rolling, especially when, you're not able to get quite to where you want to be financially, or, this isn't working out, or, you're not getting credentials to things, and you have to really stay the course. And over the past, we told you when we met up, Noah and I were both single. We don't have kids. That maybe has helped, Kevin, as far as keeping the focus going and things like that. Not a lot of distractions out there, so we're able to kind of keep our eye on the prize here.
And how do you feel like you do things differently? Because, so many people are trying so many different things, but you've obviously made it this long. You've beaten the odds already, so you've been doing it for quite some time. Why do you think that is? What is the key to the success?
I think for us, in an ever-changing journalistic environment, we've been able to kind of keep our content fresh, and we've been able to make a lot of connections with former athletes, former ESPN personalities, people out there, like Tim Brando from Fox Sports. We have been able to develop a friendship with him. We have him on frequently. Guys like Joe Theismann, former Washington football team quarterback, of course. And so making those connections and keeping, fresh interviews out with guys like that, I think has really been beneficial to us, because people, as much as I think Noah and I do a pretty good job, people really want to hear from, the legends of the game and people that talk about it, on a much larger scale. So I think that's kind of how we're able to keep things fresh for us.
So I've had a rough 36 hours here, Clint. I'm not going to lie. I was so excited Sunday night that the Chiefs defense played as great as it did and they won. And I thought, well, they're finding out who they are. I think we saw this with Michigan in college football. They found out who they are as the season went on. They became a power team, run the ball, play defense. It worked. They beat Ohio State. They're in the college football playoff. Bill Belichick has a rookie quarterback who isn't great. I watched him on Monday night go 2 out of 3 for 16 yards, but they won the game. And I saw the reaction from Sam Mellinger and others in Kansas City that the Chiefs won ugly over the Broncos Sunday night. This isn't sustainable. You can't keep doing this. And I'm asking, why the hell not? Because what I'm looking at is a hell of a lot better than getting behind 24 points to the Texans in the playoffs and hoping you can come from behind and win that game. I love what I'm seeing. Hey, I'd love to have the offense back where it was, but this defense has been just fantastic. Can they do it every game? I don't know, but what I like, I really like. Am I crazy?
You're not crazy. As you look at the defensive numbers, and I was just looking at them earlier before I called you, to see where this defense has come, it's absolutely staggering. The Chiefs are currently 8th in scoring defense, giving up just over 21 points a game. And that's with the last 5 games, the Chiefs have given up just under 11 points a game. So the trend is clearly up. And Kevin, I don't know about you, but I see this league and it goes in waves. We see back in 2018, I said, we don't even need a defense here. Just have D Ford and Justin Houston come off the edge, get some sacks, some timely turnovers, and let this offense go to work. Well, all of a sudden you're seeing, you mentioned it last night, Matt Jones throws 3 passes in a 14-10 win. The Chiefs defense turning it around and developing a new identity mid-season. There's still offensive football going on in the league, but Kevin, we might be seeing an era where coaches see this high risk, high reward type offense not working out for them. It may cost them their job if a team turns the ball over at the rate the Chiefs were early in the season. So taking care of the ball, it's working for the Chiefs. And by the way, no one's mentioning this, but they're covering spreads as well. So not only is the defense playing well and the Chiefs are still winning relatively comfortably, back when the offense was really rearing its head there, the Chiefs weren't covering spreads. It was close and you were having to eke out wins. You're right. I kind of agree with you. This might be a little more comfortable and more sustainable.
I'm probably the last guy anybody is going to call a homer, so I get to say all the good things I want at one time, but this is about as good a job of coaching as I've seen Andy Reid do, and I'm not talking about in-game or clock management or moves like that. I'm talking about he scrapped everything they went to St. Joe with this summer and said, okay, here's what we're going to do, here's what we're going to be this year. It wasn't working. He scrapped it. I'm convinced he was looking at Bill Belichick with his rookie quarterback going, how is he doing it now with Mac Jones? I'm going to do the same thing. I think they've made those adjustments. I don't think everybody's bought in yet. I don't think Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce have bought into 3-yard routes. I think they'd rather go 50 yards downfield. I get that. Mahomes is like learning a new offense right before our eyes. He seems to be making strides. What I really like offensively is I watch a lot of teams that struggle in the NFL, Clint, and when that happens, we see guys that aren't open. We see lanes that are not blocked for runners. I don't see that with the Chiefs. I see open receivers. I see Mahomes missing them sometimes. I see guys dropping passes. I see running backs not hitting the hole properly. But these things are all addressable and fixable. I'm very optimistic that the offense could continue to grow as we go.
We've seen just a couple weeks ago that this is possible. We've seen in season. We saw in the first 4 weeks that this offense can be very explosive. We saw it just a few weeks ago against the Raiders. And Kevin, chances are on Sunday at noon we're going to see it again, and that might put some people's minds at ease when it comes to this offense. But I do think that there's some issues. And you look at earlier we talked about the offensive line, and I think it's playing really well right now, which is strange considering that the offensive output is going down. But when you look at what this offense is being able to do, I think that there's some miscues in the draft that have kind of led us to this. And it's a pass-catching problem, Kevin. When we look at McCole Hardman, who's just, is he even being targeted anymore? Is he even on the field? I mean, I think Josh Gordon at this point is getting, more snaps than McCole Hardman, who was our second-round pick, who, by the way, could have been DK Metcalf, one of the best receivers in the league. So there's some miscues at the pass catch. And it was early. I mean, I'm sorry. You bring back Robinson and Pringle, and you really don't do anything else to address that position. I like that they drafted Noah Gray, who, he's kind of working his way in there. But I think there's a pass catching problem. And then, like you said, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, maybe they're not bought in. That's a lot of bogging down of this machine. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now.
I thought I saw with Pringle on Sunday night. I thought I saw the player at Kansas State. He was always open and always dropping passes, and it was a rough night. It's not going to get any easier because obviously the weather is going to get tougher. Let's finish with this on the Chiefs. Then I want to ask you about KU and MU and them playing this weekend. So my thought is the Chiefs have the Raiders and then the Chargers, and if they win those two, the AFC West is over. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. I was going to say the exact same thing. Should it come up, that Chargers game, and I think that it really is important because the Chargers' schedule down the stretch, I don't see a lot of losses for them. Of course, I didn't see a lot of losses for them when they were playing teams like the Vikings and losing, but here we are. So you can't exactly trust the Chargers, but I do think that that win over Cincinnati might get them back on track. So yeah, you beat the Raiders and you beat the Chargers, and you've got 4 straight wins in the division and going down the stretch here. The problem is, I don't like a lot of these tiebreakers. Obviously, even New England has a tiebreaker over the Chiefs right now, and they're the same record or a half game ahead at 9-4. So to start getting back into these conversations, you're going to have to not only keep winning, you're going to have to somehow surpass some of these records that we're seeing from the Ravens and teams that we lost to earlier in the season, the Titans. You're going to have to get ahead of them to get back up there. So obviously, the division games are that much more important. And yeah, the Chargers, you're going to go to LA on Thursday night, the 16th. And that's, to me, that's got the division written all over it. I completely agree.
Okay, I want to get your thoughts on the Missouri Tigers. They're playing Kansas on Saturday at Allen Fieldhouse. I remember saying years ago that there was only one good thing for Missouri fans in Mizzou going to the SEC, and that is they don't have to play KU in basketball anymore. That was the only good thing, from my perspective, about the move. This looks like a game that I know Missouri wanted to play, and they wanted to set this series up. This looks like a really, really bad idea, Clint. What's going to happen, and are Missouri fans even remotely looking forward to this?
Oh, well, Kevin, back when you first said that, I remember, and I remember being angry about that. And like, Kevin, come on, don't you realize what this rivalry is, what it means to people? Fast forward to 2021 here, and we're on the cusp of the game actually happening. And I am so out. I did not fill out a credential request for this. I can't imagine a worse nightmare than being inside Allen Fieldhouse and watching this unfold with Missouri, who's now lost in the city. What I'm calling this is a bad nostalgia reboot. We see shows like Fuller House and Saved by the Bell try to come back, and it's never as good. You can't recapture the magic. Yeah, Kansas fans are going to get to show up on Saturday. They're going to get to boo Mizzou when they get introduced. They're going to get to revel in what'll probably be a 30-point beatdown. But beyond that, what is this really accomplishing? Now, the game was supposed to start last year at Sprint Center, back when Missouri had a competent team, that might have been able to stay in it with Kansas at Sprint Center and T-Mobile Center. I'm sorry. And we'll get back to that here in the next couple of years. We'll see the 3 more games after this. And I don't know. I just think that so many of my great memories growing up, Kevin, were Missouri basketball games that my dad would take me to at the Hearn Center, people hanging from the rafters, they were talking about fire hazards. And I was there when Zaire Taylor made the shot in 2009 and rushing the court, all these things. And all of a sudden, it just feels like something I don't really want to be a part of. And I think for a lot of fans on both sides, they just kind of moved on. Yeah, Missouri's gone, forget you. And that's kind of how I feel.
And I'm not being an old guy, get off my lawn. I'm not. I think because the young people say the same thing. College basketball is not what it was. It just isn't. Yeah. It's not the same product. It's not the same coaches. It's not as entertaining. It looks like a big business. It looks like professional basketball. All the coaches are friends. Nobody says anything. There's never anything really interesting. They all just play it out. Everybody's getting rich. Players are making money now. It just isn't the same, Clint. It's not.
There was several years of my life that it was my favorite sport back in probably the early to mid 90s where, I likened a lot of college basketball stars that I watched. They were on the same hero level to me as a Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Gary Payton in the NBA. But you're right, especially since you could really put the mark down when Missouri left, the Big 12 back in 2012. Missouri and Kansas had 2 unbelievable games against each other that year. We were robbed of the rubber match in the Big 12 championship due to a Baylor upset. But since then, it's just continued to go down. There's a lot of reasons for that. You've talked about them many times on the radio and your podcast. And, whether it be one and dones, transfer portals, things like of that ilk, it's just not what it was. And yeah, I think I hesitate to say that basketball is a niche sport in 2021. Am I wrong?
No, I think that's exactly right. And I'm hoping the game somehow will be tight and interesting, but I fear like you that it probably won't be. We can talk it over Thursday. We'll see you at the Brass Rail in the Northland, 152 Highway in North Brighton. Clint Switzer is with Starcade Media. We want everybody to go check that out, starcademedia.com. You'll find all kinds of great sports content there. If you want to follow that, you and Noah do a great job there, and I'll be contributing columns for you as well, and we'll have one up a little bit later this week. It's been a pleasure having you on. We'll have you and Noah both on for an extended discussion at some point, but we wanted to promote this event we're doing on Thursday. Chris DeGaulle is coming down from KCMO Talk Radio. Yeah. He's going to be there as well, so that'll be fun. And we'll have a few T-shirts to give away, and I suspect some of your fans and listeners will be there as well, correct?
Yes, absolutely. How much fun. This sounds like a lot of really good people in one place. So this is awesome. We're so excited to be able to kind of partner with you on this, and definitely want to invite everybody to come out to the Brass Rail, which is, an important place for me, Kevin. I grew up 5 minutes from the Brass Rail. It opened as I turned 21. It's just a lot of memories in the Brass Rail. Watched a lot of sporting events there. It's huge. It's wide open. You've got all, tons of TVs, pool, darts, whatever you want to do. And that's what's cool about this, being able to partner up with you and have your great listeners and our followers come out and shake a hand and hopefully have a few cool ones and see what goes on in this Steelers-Vikings game. It could have some implications. The Chiefs play the Steelers coming up, so got to keep your eye on that. So really excited to be there, Kevin. Can't wait to do it, and hopefully we'll make a time of it.
I think Jack Harry's coming. If I get Jack Harry there, remind me to have him tell you how I whipped his butt at shuffleboard at the Brass Rail. Now, he's going to say I cheated, but I still don't know how you could cheat. He whenever he loses anything, he says you cheated. How do you cheat at shuffleboard? I don't even know how you do that, right?
No, I haven't played shuffleboard in a while, but that sounds like a great story. And if Jack's there, it just makes it even better. So can't wait to do it, Kevin.
It'll be fun. Thank you so much, Clint. Appreciate your time.
You bet, Kevin. Thank you.
All right, take care. He is Clint Switzer, and the website is Starcade Media, starcademedia.com.